Hey, MCARBO brother, I'm Chris Nelson, President MCARBO, and I am really excited to introduce a trigger spring kit for America's favorite drop gun. I'm just kidding. The Hi-Point C9, great little pistol for 150 bucks or less. You can find them for less, definitely. Great little buy, considering what it is. $150 firearm, protect your life with. If you have nothing, any gun is better than no gun, and this is certainly a great way to get started. And $150 price point, it's almost like anyone's gonna have one anyway, just for the heck of it. They pass a ton of torture tests. They can chew anything, they can shoot anything. Rugged little things, really are. Yes, very inexpensive, but a gun is better than no gun. So hands down, you got a C9. This is a great way to improve it, a very inexpensive way to do a trigger job on your C9. Really excited about it because we got it down 40%. It started at 10%. We also in this video show you how to get rid of that magazine safety. So you can see I don't have a magazine safety in here now, which is nice. So some great little ways to improve it. You know, this is something that we've always done here at MCARBO. We always take requests. So guys will say, hey, got a C9, what do you guys got for it? Great little solution here. From 10 pounds down to 6, 40% trigger pull reduction, simple, 10-minute little install, and you can get rid of that little annoying magazine safety, which is cool. So you still got your external safety here. You just don't have that little internal mag safety where you have to have it inserted to actually pull the trigger. So it's really nice, really breaks good for what it is, what it was. 10 pounds is just massive. You know, right under 6 on this one, so it's nice. I enjoy it. It's fun, just a little beat around gun, or if it's all you got, better than no gun. Any gun is better than no gun. So really like that we've got something here for the C9. Let's get on over to tabletop, show you what we did to this. Parts and tools needed for this build. The Hi-Point C9 trigger spring kit by MCARBO includes a lighter custom Sear spring for your Hi-Point C9, bench block hammer, 1/8 inch punch, little micro tip flathead screwdriver, Phillips head screwdriver, and as always guys, make sure we're in iPro. Let's go ahead and take this opportunity to check our firearms together, make sure they're clear. What we'll do is we'll lock the slide back, just pull back on the slide, and you just push up on that little magazine lever there, and that also works as a slide lock. It's kind of nice and handy. One utility piece there. So check the chamber, check the bolt face, check the magazine well. This firearm's clear. All right, so we've got our firearm clear. We also want to make sure our magazine's clear as well. It's empty. We're going to use this magazine to check the trigger pull reading initially because it's got a magazine safety on it, meaning you can't pull that trigger unless the magazine's inserted. If you guys want to bypass that, I'll show you how to do that in this video as well. Also get a nice, light, crisp, clean trigger pull. All right, let's go ahead and see what kind of factory trigger pull we're starting with. So for this trigger to pull, we have to have the magazine inserted. So what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and drop the slide forward. All right, insert the magazine. Now we're ready to check this trigger pull. Let's see what kind of factory trigger pull we're starting with. 10 pounds, 13.2 ounces. Let's take one more to confirm. Drop that mag, rack the slide, put the mag back in. £11 pounds, 2.6 ounces. All right, so we start this assembly by locking the slide back. So you just pull back on that slide. You're gonna push up on the safety lever right here. It doubles as your slide stop. All right, so now we've got access to that roll pin right there. So we'll set it up on our bench block. Tap that roll pin right out. You need your 1/8 inch punch. Just center right up on it, tap away. All right, pins out, slide out your punch. Here's a good look at that roll pin, very standard roll pin. Set that aside. Now we can go ahead and drop the slide here and we'll take it off. Little trick to it, you're gonna have to pull back a little bit and then pull up. So you'll kind of feel it as you pull the slide back, it'll release right there. See that? And now we're gonna let it ride forward. We're gonna try to pay attention to everything, how it goes together. Comes out just like that. So you got your slide right here and you got your frame right here. All right, so there's a good side-by-side view of the inside of the slide there and the inside upper portion of the frame there. Kind of gives you a good perspective. Definitely helps with reassembly. So you notice here on the slide, you've got your slide retainer here, and it's universal. All right, it's got that dimple on both sides. Good thing to point out, pay attention to. So we'll set the slide down for a minute. All we need to do is focus on this frame here. So we've got a recoil spring and guide rod up front here. All right, and those will come out 2 pieces. Don't need to pull it out, but I'm just gonna pull it out for the heck of it right now. Set it aside. All right, now we're gonna focus on the sear back here. Just pay attention to this orientation. So you can see here's the back of the firearm here, right? Here's the trigger, here's the back of the firearm. See that little step right there? It's facing the back. Very important. Want to make sure we replicate that. We're going to be pulling this sear right out. Just want to point out a couple other items here. You've got your counterweight pivot pin here. It's just L-shaped pin here. All right, it sits under this little post on the sear. So that's definitely important to pay attention to. It'd be helpful when we put it back together. And you've got this piece of trigger linkage over here that goes right over top of that post on the sear, and it locates under this pin here. Just some simple things just to remember. So what we need to do is press down on this sear assembly right here so that we can release it from this linkage on the side. So what we'll do is we'll grab that punch, just push down on the sear, okay? And then take our little micro tip, pry out that linkage, and let that sear just kind of ride up like that, pull up on that sear assembly, just like that. And now you can see the sear spring inside, and that's what we're replacing. So I'm going to set that sear down for a minute. Now just let that sear spring just drop right out of there just like that. All right, and we'll compare the two. So we got our stock sear spring here. Set that down. Let's go ahead and open up the Hi-Point C9 trigger spring kit by MCARBO. Save this bag for that factory spring. Doesn't hurt to keep the spare parts. All right, so I got the MCARBO spring here on my right. Grab this factory spring down here. So factory on the left there, MCARBO on the right. And you can see there's a good difference. All right, so that MCARBO spring is going to be a lot lighter, but not too light. I mean, it's still got to be safe. It's still got to be drop test safe, which these are. You know, we put them through a lot of torture testing, which, you know, this Hi-Point can take a lot of torture testing, so that's cool. We got that going for us. All right, so let's go ahead and put this factory spring back in the bag. We're going to install this lighter sear spring now. Let's take that lighter sear spring, just drop it right in that hole there. And then we'll take our sear, drop it in like that. Remember that little step facing the rear of the firearm. And you want to make sure that counterweight's in there too. See that little L-shaped piece of metal there? Go ahead and slide that sear right on top of that spring. Feels lighter already. All right, we're going to compress it. So take your little micro tip and just pop out that little piece of linkage before we compress the sear. Compress the sear and then get the piece of linkage over top of that post right there. Simple as that. All right, so you can see linkage is captured. That little counterweight is down under that post on the sear. The sear is pointing the right direction. That little step facing the rear of the firearm. We're good. So we can go ahead and put it back together at this point. All right, so for all intents and purposes, we've completed what we set out to do. We got a lighter trigger pull already. We have to test it still, but to test it, we're gonna have to use that magazine in order to bypass that magazine safety. So if you don't want that magazine safety, you've already got that external safety right here. You know, that's more than enough, you know, and good trigger finger discipline, but you know, don't do anything you're not comfortable with. So you can skip this part if you want to keep that magazine safety. If you want to get rid of it, let's go ahead and proceed here. So you can see we've got the magazine safety side right here. All right, we're keeping that external safety. We're getting rid of that internal magazine safety. So we're going to flip it over to this side. And we're going to take this grip off right here. Take your Phillips head, and you're just going to loosen that grip. Screw comes out just like that. Set it to the side. Take your little micro tip and just pop up this little grip. All right, pops up just like that. You'll notice there's these two little tabs on the bottom, and they locate in those holes right there. So try not to mess with anything else. This is your magazine safety right here. That just makes sure that you have a magazine in place for it to fire. Set that aside. There may be a spring that goes with that little safety. Check the exploded view. It says there is. This model doesn't have it. It's likely they've changed something along the way. The rest of the linkage, we're just going to go ahead and leave it in place. You just want to make sure the trigger linkage is engaged and located right here. All right, so you can see how your trigger connects here, follows this linkage with the sear. So just make sure these two pieces are engaged and pressed together, and we'll go ahead and put this grip back on. Insert the bottom tabs, compress it, locks right in place. Take our little screw, put it back in, tighten it right up. All right, good. So we just eliminated that magazine safety. There's a closer look at that magazine safety there. I'm just going to put it in the bag with the stock part. Just handy to keep that stuff together. You never know, you may decide you want it back in there. So now we'll take the frame, we'll grab our recoil spring and guide rod. You can see that guide rod there and the recoil spring. Just going to insert it right there in the bottom. And that guide rod may just fall right in, that's fine. Just make sure that spring captures right over that guide rod. And if you can't see it, you just pull it forward just like that to confirm it's there. All right, push it back in place. Then we're gonna take our slide, insert it right on top of the frame. Now keep in mind there's this little face right here where that recoil spring is gonna locate against to put pressure on it. All right, barrel's gonna fit through the big hole, obviously. And then you've got your slide retainer back here that we pointed out in the beginning, how that just kind of flops around. Well, that needs to locate in this pocket right here. So you'll see that hole right there, that's where it needs to locate. So what we'll do is we'll compress it together just like this, putting tension on it. That barrel's going through that hole in the slide. And then back here, you'll see that slide retainer needs to drop right into that hole. So you'll see it'll get right to it and it's gonna come right together just like that. And we're golden. All right, so everything's back in at this point except that roll pin. So let's lock that slide back. All right, locked in place. Grab our bench block, get that roll pin. So there's your roll pin there, drops right in to that hole, right on the frame. Get it started with your hammer. And then take your 1/8 inch punch, tap it right in. Give it another tap. Make sure it's completely recessed on both sides. So we still got a little room there. We can tap it a few more times. All right, good. So it's recessed on both sides. We are good to go there. All right, so now we can go ahead and let the slide go forward. Let's do a little function check. So we'll go ahead and we'll place it on safe. Pull the trigger, nothing, good. So that safety works, external safety works. Pull the trigger. Ooh, that's more like it. All right, keep the trigger depressed. Listen for the reset. Yep, all day long. And look at that, you notice no magazine safety. Don't have to worry about it now. So if you want, just to prove that it's safe, I don't mind dropping this one. I'll do a quick little drop test for us too. It's always nice, gives everybody reassurance. All right, man, there we go. Beautiful trigger pull. Let's measure this trigger pull first, then we'll do a quick little drop test for fun. All right, let's see what we got for a modified trigger pull. 5 pounds, 10.9 ounces. Let's take one more to confirm. 5 pounds, 13.5 ounces. Well, there you have it, guys. Great trigger pull reduction for this Hi-Point C9. This is a 10-pound plus trigger pull to start with. We got it down just under 6, so a 40% trigger pull reduction is what you should expect. Really like that we were able to achieve this with one simple replacement. That spring in there is just crazy strong. It's ridiculous why it's so heavy. I have no idea why. I promised you a little drop test, so let's do a little drop test so you can see it's functioning. Oh, no magazine safety. I love that. I hope you went along with that. And a nice, smooth, clean 6-pound trigger pull, which for what it started at, that's clean, that's smooth. All right, so do a little drop test. I'm gonna even put it over my head. Ooh, don't do that at home. Let's see how she does. Ping! So drop test safe. I think I just broke the sight on it. So you don't need to do that to yours. I mean, that was excessive. 6 feet, and I went up here. I wouldn't recommend doing it, I just broke the sight. But take my word for it here, at least yours will have a nice rear sight. This one's gone. But just don't throw it around. You know, a little Hi-Point, it is what it is. $150 gun, a gun is better than no gun. So really happy to have a nice solution for this trigger pull. We don't like heavy trigger pulls. No need to have that 10-pound lawyer-proof trigger. And magazine safety, it's up to you, but I don't really think it's necessary either. You have a good external safety here, so you're more than covered, and good trigger finger discipline, and it's still a 6-pound trigger, so you're more than covered there too. 6 pounds is plenty, especially if you're carrying it, you know, and you're using that external safety, you're covered. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Really appreciate everyone's support. Glad you guys recommended it. We might as well cover it. We've got everything else, so we're really excited. Any more ideas you got, always taking them, always fielding the ideas. That's why we love you guys. That's why we appreciate the MCARBO Brotherhood. Love that support. Thank you guys. As always, happy shooting.